Alright folks, I know this this video is not like my other ones, but it's something I want to really get out there, and I've been spending a lot of time on this, hours upon hours looking at video and watching news broadcasts and reading up on it. And of course I'm talking about the event that happened in Uvalde, Texas on May 24th. You know, I don't live there, but I have been there many times. My father was a funeral home director there. Probably 20-something years ago. My folks lived there. Would visit them quite often. I have friends that have property in a little town, little town up north of Uvalde called Camp Wood, and we would always stop there before we go to the ranch, and we stop in Uvalde all the time. Just really good people, you know. And so I do have some ties there. I mean, you know, it's been a while, but I'm very familiar with the town. So I'm gonna give you a detailed, comprehensive timeline with videos from various news networks. Okay, and you know, I am embarrassed. Embarrassed about my great state of Texas. I'm gonna give you a detailed, comprehensive timeline with videos from different networks, like I said. And as we go along this timeline, you'll see several times that the delinquent Ramos, his mission was almost thwarted. Okay, several times this thing almost didn't happen. I know it did, but just somehow I think if we get the details, we learn all the details on all this, but very specific details, maybe something somewhere along the way will can help prevent this next time, you know. And this video I'm about to play, I'm sure this is the video everybody saw. You know, think back that day, you were either at work or at home, you came up on your cell phone, you got a text, and this is the video that played.
This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
Breaking news, a horrific scene in Texas. A gunman opens fire at an elementary school, killing 14 students and one teacher after he shot and killed his grandmother. Thank you for joining us. I'm Colleen Sullivan.
And I'm Ellen Leyva. You're watching Eyewitness News at 3 live on ABC 7, Hulu Live, and wherever you stream. And that breaking news, another mass shooting in the United States, this time at an elementary school in a small Texas town.
Okay, so Ramos got out his his rifle. You know, I was trying to think how did he afford to get these two rifles and all this ammo and magazines, you know. I read somewhere he worked at a fast food place. I believe I know the name of it. I've heard two different ones, but he may have worked at two different places at one time. I guess he didn't have any expenses. He was living with his grandmother, and you know, probably didn't have any expenses. Didn't have a vehicle, so he didn't have that expense. No rent, so he just put all of his money into this little mission from the devil that he had here. And he bought those rifles and those rounds. And so, you know, I think this is probably around 11:15 or something like that on the 24th. Ramos got his rifle and he shot his grandmother in the face. He shot the rifle 2 times, according to the neighbor. You know, probably the only good thing in his life was his grandmother. He just celebrated his birthday, went to Applebee's, according to his grandfather. This rage-fueled delinquent Ramos, he shoots her. You know, he shoots her in the face. Grandmother's trying to do the right thing, and he shoots her, folks. And this is probably the first time he's ever even shot a rifle. I mean, I doubt he knows people that own land or to shoot guns on, or probably never even been to a shooting range. Probably the first time he's ever shot a gun, just flat out, you know. Well, he sees the blood on his grandmother's face. And like when a pit bull gets the taste of blood in its eyes and its eyes get wide, this happened to Ramos. He sees the blood. Now he's excited. His adrenaline's pumping. He knows now he doesn't have long before the police will arrive. Okay? The police could arrive and thwart his little mission. He's got to leave now. He sends a message to a girl in Germany, I'm going to shoot up the elementary school. You know, he's probably been planning this for years. Years and years. Probably walked that route. And trust me, yeah, he knows that route for sure. Probably drove it 100 times. Well, he didn't drive. He doesn't know how to drive. Poor sap didn't even have a license or a car. And this is the first time that I mentioned about him not being able to drive, and this almost thwarts his mission. He grabs the 2 rifles he purchased. He just shot his grandmother. Grabs the 2 rifles he purchased, 1,000-something rounds. Grabs his grandfather's key to his grandfather's truck. Ramos gets in the truck, but the stupid little delinquent Ramos can't get it in gear. So he's trying to put the truck in gear. He can't get it in gear, folks. He can't get the truck in gear. Adrenaline's pumping. Probably never even drove the truck before. He's frustrated, and suddenly he gets into drive, gets into gear, and takes off down the road. Down Diaz Street, like a bat out of hell. Where he is today in hell. Gravel flying everywhere, dust flying everywhere. His grandmother somehow walks across the street, face is bloodied. There's blood everywhere. Her adrenaline kicks in. She calls 911. She walks across the street and seeks help from her neighbor, Beto. That's his nickname. She called him Beto. Beto comes out of the home and helps her. Gets her out of the street. His wife calls 911. I'm going to play the video from the interview with Beto.
And the boyfriend of the shooter's mother tells us that the shooter and his mother had a checkered past where violence would sometimes ensue. Police were called once or twice, according to neighbors. And then one day, 8 police officers showed up. The next day, the shooter was gone, moving to his grandmother's house behind us. And Shep, it's incredible to see how close all of this happened. I'm a half mile away from where you are. This started just a 10-minute walk down this road toward the school.
Really incredible. Perry, I know I shared with our viewers that you spoke with a neighbor. You're at the grandmother's house. That's where the gunman lived as well. And the neighbor who helped the grandmother after she'd been shot, what did they tell you?
His name is Gilbert Gallegos. We met him as he was sitting on his porch, just like he was yesterday, more than 24 hours ago, sitting in that same position when he tells us that he heard gunshots. He walked us through the entire situation with what happened. Take a listen.
I heard 2 bangs with like shots, and I looked around, I couldn't see nothing, but all of a sudden the door opens and he comes out with a duffel bag and the backpack, puts him in the truck, gets on the truck, and he didn't drive. So he was trying to get it out of gear at a park, and he couldn't do it. Some way, I guess he stepped on the brake and come out and took off. I mean, there was rocks flying all over. Then she came out, and I could see she was all bloody.
You're talking about his grandmother.
His grandmother. And she came out, and I met her, and she told me, because she called me Beto. Beto, look at what my grandson did. And I said, well, let's get out of the street. Let's come get over here. We got her out. My wife called the EMS and the police. And between me and my wife, we brought her back here and put her in there. We heard shots, and we were afraid that he would come back.
You heard the shots from the school?
Well, we heard shots back here. We didn't know where it was in the school or not. And between me and my wife, we said, well, we decided we'd bring her in here. And then the police came in real fast, and they took her out. They met the EMS out there and took her away.
And we asked Gilbert if he asked the woman across the street what happened, what led up to this, what were the moments before she was shot in the face, and he said we just didn't want to ask her. We were just trying to keep her calm. I asked Gilbert, did you ever see the shooter before? He said maybe once or twice, but this guy's been living here for 3 to 4 months, and for that to happen, for a man to live across the street in this neighborhood where everybody is outside all of the time, that is incredibly rare, Shep.
I'll say, what a revealing interview. Perry Russum, thank you for that.
So he's somewhere here on Diaz Street, takes off, turns right on Nicholas Street, and turns left on the Geraldine. Or he went straight barreling out Diaz and goes down Grove Street. I don't think anybody knows yet. Hopefully there'll be some ring videos that'll come up somewhere along the street here or Grove Street. Grove Street probably just have opportunity. Well, probably not going to be any video from Grove Street. Maybe from this other one. Maybe right in here. Okay. All right, the delinquent Ramos almost makes another mistake. The bungling bag of bones Ramos makes a very hard right. He's thinking he's going through the gate at the back end of the school, but he comes up short. He turns into a drainage ditch. Let me show you this next video. So here is the second time in his mission from the devil is almost thwarted. Now follow me on this. Why did he wreck here? I'm going to tell you why. This is my theory. We'll never know, but this is the best guess I can have here. He knows this gate right here. Okay? He's going at a high rate of speed. He can't handle the truck. Doesn't know how to drive. He's turned right, either hard right from here, or he's going like this and turns right into this drainage ditch. Here's the gate I'm talking about. So he's going to make a hard right turn. He's thinking he's busting through this gate, or if it's open, I don't know. It's hard to see on videos of the area. I'm not sure if this gate's still there, to tell you the truth. I've looked at so many videos, I can't tell if it's been opened or if it's open, it's just up against this fence and I can't see it, so I'm not 100% sure. But he's thinking he's going to go through here, bust through this gate. Instead, the hard right turn takes him right here. Okay? Right here, and he's probably airborne a little bit as the tires, pop off the truck. Literally, they're popped out. Okay? So, he's in the truck. He can't get out the driver's side door because it's jammed up from the wreck. Mission almost thwarted. He's in shock, but his adrenaline's still going pretty good. It's got blood, taste of blood. He wants more. He's in this truck. He can't get out the driver's side. He scoots over. He gets out the passenger door. So again, his mission's almost thwarted, but he still continues. He forgets the second rifle and some ammo in that truck. How'd he do that? Like I said, he's in shock. He's not thinking straight. Really surprised he's still able to go on. But he is determined. He is one determined little delinquent. The bungling POS Ramos is back on the mission. Two good Samaritans come running up from over here. From this funeral home right here. It's two workers. They just heard somebody wreck into a ditch, and they run over here. They're close. Probably in here somewhere. Very close. One of them yells, "He's got a gun." They turn to run to go back to the funeral home. One of them falls down. Ramos shoots. Imagine he shoots at him. If he was trying to shoot him, like I said, this is the first time he's ever shot a gun. He's not a good shot, folks. If he did try to shoot him, he is not a good shot. They are very close. I don't know if he's down here and he's shooting kind of upwards or he's right here. I just don't know. I don't think we know. We don't know yet until the Rangers release a report where the casings were. These two guys run back. This is probably about the third time he shot this gun. He shot a gun ever, or this gun even. I think he fired 2 shots at these guys, maybe more, 3 or 4. Maybe shot over their heads. I don't know. Now hear me out on this. Here in a little bit, I will tell you how these two guys may have saved lives. Okay? These two guys that came out from the funeral home may have actually saved lives, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. Now watch this video from the employee of the funeral home. He's going to tell you what happened.
Speaking out for the first time exclusively with the NBC News, Cody Briseño recounts the moment he ran outside the funeral home he works at and approached the Uvalde gunman, all happening seconds after the shooter crashed his pickup truck.
How far were you from him?
I was from like maybe 8-10 feet around there. And as he takes out this rifle, he's looking at me, and I tell my coworker, "Oh man, he has a gun, he has a gun." And as soon as I say that, I tell him, "Run, run, he has a gun." But I'm looking back, and this guy's already pointing at us. and you just hear pa, 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 pa.
Official court documents state Briseño and his co-worker were among the first people to face the shooter, both escaping gunfire and running back inside the funeral home. Briseño says minutes later, his wife arrived bringing him a gun just as police showed up at the scene. He says they stopped them from going after the gunman.
But my intention was to stop him. And I mean, I feel guilty, man, because I couldn't stop him.
Briseño is now helping with the funerals of several of those killed, including Amarillo Garza, a relative of his.
I had to dig the grave, set up the tent, and lower her casket.
Back at Robb Elementary, a memorial continues to grow with the school board announcing the site will no longer be used.
You know, I can't fault this guy. You know, he was unarmed. You know, me personally, I would have drove my trucker car. Excuse me, drove my trucker car or hearse through that gate and try to run over Ramos or draw fire away from him. Like I said, I can't fault this guy. You know. Then he had to dig the graves and set up the tents and lower the casket and the graves, and you know, it takes a special person to do that kind of work. I said he called his wife to bring a gun, and she bought the gun. It was too late. The cops weren't going to let him go in there. You know, at that point. I'm telling you, me and my father was alive. We drove up on this guy. Ramos would not have made it to that school. I guarantee that. Or we would have died trying. I would have done anything to put something between him and that school. Ramos gets out of the truck. You can now see the school. He's back on his mission to death. Now this next video is the only video that I have seen that mentions a third witness, and from when he crashed the truck. So we have the two gentlemen from the funeral home, and now we have a third gentleman. Probably lives there by the ditch. Excuse me. Probably lives there by the ditch. The man had just taken his pistol out of his truck. I think he said a couple of days before. You know, I'm not sure. He leaves in there all the time. I don't know what that meant, but he said that he had it. I mean, sure that he could have taken out the shooter right there. You know, and this guy's trying to live with that. Again, can't fault him. Man, oh man, I wish I had been there. And I had no hesitation taking him out. Taking out Ramos. So there again, Ramos' mission was almost thwarted. I'm going to play the video of the third witness.
Now, meantime, there are multiple crime scenes leading up to the mass shooting at Robb Elementary yesterday morning. They're all being investigated now. They include the grandmother's home, the crash scene, and the school itself.
Now, one man says that he dealt with the gunman moments before he opened fire at the school, and he's speaking to us. He says that he has no idea as to what was about to happen.
Alicia Barrera shares the moments that Albert Vargas knew something was going wrong.
Man, it happened so quick.
Like many, Albert Vargas is still trying to make sense of the bloodshed in his community of Uvalde.
It keeps repeating in my mind, you know, like last night I stayed up real late and I'm saying, man, what could I have done different?
Vargas says he had a face-to-face encounter with the suspect just minutes before a lone gunman entered Robb Elementary.
I ran down there thinking that the guy needed help because we heard the wreck.
However, the gunman didn't want any help. Authorities say he had shot his grandmother in the face moments before and then stole his grandfather's vehicle.
Came out with an automatic weapon, shot at least twice, maybe 3 times at them, and then that's when he spotted me, and boy, I was already in motion to run, and that's when he, bam, bam.
But it's the aftermath that has Vargas feeling guilty.
I carry a pistol in my truck. I took it out 2 days ago. And if I would have had it there, I could have laid him down. Because no cops were there at that time.
Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
So Ramos hops the fence. I imagine the truck's here. He's coming out here, and he's going to hop this fence. Let's go to aerial view. Let's go to aerial view. So now he is in this ditch. He hops the fence right here. And I'm thinking he's headed here. This is where the teacher had come out, propped the door open. She's here. We're going to talk about her in a second. Ramos is in motion here. I don't know if he's running or jogging or brisk walk or a slow, creepy walk. He makes it to the cars right here. Then a CISD officer shows up, which is a resource officer from the school district police department. I don't know where he or she went. I believe it's a guy. If you listen to the spokesman from DPS. Heard one report. He goes here at the funeral home. He sees an individual he thinks is a shooter, and it turns out to be a teacher. And I haven't heard much more from that. And that day, I believe, was a casual day. There's 2 male teachers that work at this school, as far as I can tell. May have had like a jersey on and some shorts. It's not like the olden days where the teacher wears long sleeve shirt and khakis or slacks. I haven't heard much more from that. I don't know anything else to tell you guys on that. And I don't know where the resource officer, if they went onto campus and was driving around, or I just don't know. I don't know where that person went. So the teacher had the door open, propped the door open with the rock. I believe I have a pic of that rock. Look at this video right here. I believe this is the rock. They probably use that rock a lot to prop open the door. She's probably not the only one. I understand now that they said that they're saying that the door was actually closed and did not lock. We're going to talk about it here in a second. So I think this happened. She came out 11:27, 11:28, something like that. He crashes 11:29, 11:30. She sees Ramos hop the fence, throw the bag over. Let's go ahead and talk about it. She sees him coming this way. She heard the gentleman, I believe, yell he's got a gun. She heard somebody say he's got a gun. She obviously could hear the shots fired at them. One report, she says she has a coworker with her. She saw the coworker fleeing. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know, by fleeing, I don't know if she means the co-worker took off this way, or fleeing is going back into the school. I'm not sure. She said that door should have been locked. You're damn right, it should have been locked. Should never been propped open. This ain't Mayberry anymore, folks. The days of Mayberry, Andy Griffith, Barney Fife, those days are over. Been over for a long time. Hell, this door probably been unlocked for a long time. There's probably going to be reports of other doors that have been unlocked for a long time. No one ever thinks it's going to happen in their town. No. And she's now lawyered up. So I'm going to play these two videos. Now she's gonna sue the gun manufacturer. Play some videos real quick.
This morning, emotions range from grief to despair and even fury as Texas and America mourns the 21 lives cut short.
And most of the fourth graders who were gunned down in that classroom at Robb Elementary School were just 10 years old.
These are the 20 of the 21 faces of those who lost their lives. 19 children and 2 teachers, victims of what is now the deadliest school shooting in Texas history and one of the worst massacres in recent U.S. history.
According to the ATF, he brought an AR platform rifle last Tuesday, followed by 375 rounds of ammunition the next day, then another AR-style rifle last Friday. Then 2 days ago, he reportedly sent these text messages to a girl in Germany who he met online, complaining about his grandmother during an argument over a cell phone bill, saying he was going to do something to her right now. 10 minutes later, he texted he just shot his grandma in the head and was going to go shoot up an elementary school right now. The shooting happened about 15 minutes later. The girl didn't respond until 5 hours later when she saw the shooting on the news. Of course, the biggest remaining question is why the suspect did this. Ramos' grandmother managed to call 911 after she was shot. She's still in critical condition. Her husband, the gunman's grandfather, is telling us if he hadn't left early for work on Tuesday morning, he believes his grandson would have shot him too. And Steph, there are troubling new claims coming out about the police response to the shooting itself.
Also today, we are hearing from the Robb Elementary School teacher who propped open a door at the school before the shooting.
She spoke with News Nation late last week, and KXAN's Daniel Medin has her account of what happened and frustration as the narrative keeps changing.
I'm telling the operator, he's got a gun, he's got a gun.
Speaking to News Nation last Thursday, the teacher, who is not being identified for her safety, says she propped open the door as she awaited a delivery, supplies for a school dance. That's when she says she saw the gunman crash his vehicle.
And they yell, he's got a gun. So I ran back. I ran back into my building. I still had the rock on the door. So I opened the door, kicked the rock, and then locked it.
Investigators say the door didn't lock and the shooter was able to enter. Police initially said the teacher had left the door open, just one in a string of details that have been corrected by investigators in the weeks since the tragedy. That prompted the Combined Law Enforcement Association of Texas, which represents police officers, to endorse an independent investigation by the U.S. Justice Department.
Breaking news right now at 5. New information about the shooting at Robb Elementary. Today, DPS says information about a teacher allegedly leaving a door propped open is not entirely true. Let's bring in KENS 5 reporter Vanessa Croy live at Robb Elementary. Vanessa.
Well, Deborah, I just got off the phone with DPS and they tell me the teacher had propped that door open but was able to get back inside the building while that gunman was still in the parking lot. Now, what happened in the back of the school? Let us give you a better look. In the back around that corner near the teacher parking lot, DPS told us the teacher had propped open the door with a rock, and while she was in the parking lot, she saw the gunman. That's when she ran back inside the school, kicked the rock out of the way, and closed the door. Now, it's still unclear as of now why the door didn't lock when the teacher kicked the rock out of the way and went back inside. DPS just told us they are conducting, closely looking at surveillance video, conducting an investigation.
Authorities changing their story on Friday, saying that a teacher left a door propped open, allowing the gunman to enter.
The teacher runs to the room 132 to retrieve a phone, and that same teacher walks back to the exit door, and door remains propped open.
But this morning, the teacher's lawyer telling the San Antonio Express News she had propped the door open to get food from her car. She saw the gunman crash his truck, ran back into the classroom to get her phone and dial 911, and then closed the door shut after realizing the gunman was heading toward the school. Her lawyer saying, quote, she thought the door would lock because the door is always supposed to be locked. Now, the Texas Department of Public Safety walking back their earlier comments and confirming the teacher's story as law enforcement studies these images appearing to show the gunman walking right into the building.
Guy with a rifle.
Video obtained by ABC News raising questions about law enforcement's response.
Okay, so this report from ABC News says her attorney Flannery says it's traumatic for her when it's insinuated that she's involved the door open. And making sense. Flannery, who represents the Robb Elementary School teacher, told ABC News correspondent Marcus Moore in his consumer she's heartbroken. Said prior to the shooting, the teacher walked out of the door to retrieve food from a colleague outside. And this is the first time we've heard about a coworker that was out there, at least the first time I've heard of it, where she saw the gunman crash a gray Ford pickup truck, then exit the vehicle and head her way toward the school armed with a gun. She sees him throw a bag over the fence, and he has a weapon, the gun, around his chest. So I guess he had a strap put on it, a sling. He hops the fence and starts running at her. Finally said the teacher then immediately turns, and she runs inside, kicks the rock out, slams the door. Back inside the school, Flannery said she heard gunshots. She thought she was going to die herself. She was waiting for him to come in. Flannery said obviously she's heartbroken with all the lives lost. And let's see here. All right, and then this next one report is from CNN. Flannery says it's the most horrific thing anyone could have endured. Marin, which is the last name of the teacher, went inside the school to report the crash and left the door propped open with the rock. According to Flannery, who's assisting Marin with the possible civil claim against the makers of the weapon used in the slaughter. When Marin returned to the door, still on the line with 911 operators, she saw her coworker fleeing. The first time I've heard of this. Okay. Not sure what that means. And heard people across the street at a funeral home yelling, "He's got a gun." Marin saw the gunman approach. Flannery said, so she kicked the door shut. Didn't make any sense. And ran to a nearby adjoining classroom, huddling underneath a counter. It was there. Marin heard gunshots. Flannery said, first outdoors, then inside the school. Her 911 call was disconnected. She grabbed chairs and then boxes to help conceal her location. She tried to be still. Frozen in fear, Marin received a text from her daughter asking if she were safe. There's a shooter. He's shooting. He's in here, Marin wrote back, according to her lawyer. Moments later, Marin wrote she could hear the police. Marin had eventually silenced her phone, convinced the gunman would hear her. Said her attorney, who added she heard every single gunshot fired in the school. She thought he was going to come in and kill her. She made peace with that. Flannery said she did think that she wasn't going to make it out alive. The gunman targeted another classroom and never encountered Marin. Her attorney said her grandson is a student at Robb Elementary, also was elsewhere and survived. Yet Marin's ordeal soon was exacerbated in the days following the shooting, after authorities said the gunman gained entry into the school through a door left propped open. She felt alone She couldn't even grieve. She second guessed herself, like, did I not do that? He added. Flannery said the story he got from his client mostly matches the timeline McCraw gave at a Friday news conference, but the lawyer wants to make clear that the teacher did not leave the door open. She saw the wreck. She ran back inside to get her phone to report the accident. She came back out while on the phone with 911. The men at the funeral home yelled, "He has a gun." She saw him jump the fence. He had a gun, so she ran back inside. She kicked the rock away. She went back in. She remembers pulling the door closed while telling 911 that he was shooting. She thought the door would lock because that door is always supposed to be locked. Flannery added that the teacher remembers pulling and holding onto the door, which has a horizontal push bar, while on the phone with 911. At one point, she headed back to her classroom. The 911 call dropped, and she texted family that the gunman was inside the building, and then she could hear police. Late Tuesday, DPS spokesman confirmed part of Flannery's account. We did verify she closed the door. The door did not lock. We know that much. Now investigators looking into why it did not lock. Flannery said that when the teacher saw the gunman, he threw a bag over the fence and he had a rifle slung over his body. I think that's the same report as we looked at last time. Now, this is the first I've heard of this. This is on the San Antonio Express. The teacher even tried to use the intercom to reach others in the school office, but she got nothing but silence. No one answered. The lawyer said that the teacher hid and didn't call 911 back because she wanted to keep quiet so the gunman would not find her. She had turned off her phone's ringer. She was very scared. Larry said immediately when she got in, she heard the popping of gunshots, and there was a change in the popping sounds like shooting inside the building. All she could do was hide under a counter. She thought it was a matter of time before he came in and got her. He would have seen her if he had come in. Flannery said the teachers told him that her wing of the L-shaped building had just dismissed students for lunch before she went to the parking lot. Otherwise, there might have been more victims because the gunman fired at the building from outside before going in. Flannery added the teacher could hear the police inside the building about 11:40 a.m. and that texts he received from her phone confirmed that. She couldn't hear what they were saying, but she could tell they were the voices of police, and she was still hunkered down. She did not leave her classroom until police came for her about 12:10 p.m. Flannery said the lawyer and the source said the woman had to go to the hospital because of anxiety. She said that they don't have a resource officer. Flannery said, using the term for school police officers, she doesn't know if they have one assigned to multiple schools, but there certainly was not one there that day. All right, so you have, let's see here. So you have Ramos. He came from over here. Now he was in the parking lot. Quite possibly saw that CISD resource officer. Probably thought his time's about to run out. He may have gone down here and checked this door. I don't know. We'll find out later, probably. I would imagine he would try to go down here and this is probably locked. I don't know. I'm just speculation. Okay. We do know now that he came up this way and he shot into the school through these windows, And this is room 102. This is room 103, 104, which he shot into. And so this teacher in 102, she heard the gunshots, okay? She heard the gunshots, and from when those two gentlemen at the funeral home came out and confronted him. And so those guys may have saved more lives, okay? She looked out the window, and then she saw Ramos coming towards the school with a gun. Okay, most regular citizens are going to freeze up and go into shock and not know really what to do. This teacher went into survival mode. Okay, She locked the door, had her kids get down, and they got down the floor, and she locked the door, and then he shot into the room, 102. Then as he went on up here, which we're going to talk about here in a second, up into the entrance, she, after, I believe she may have heard gunshots maybe inside the school. I'm not quite sure. But then she evacuated her students out this window after she could determine that he was probably in the school at this point, but she had them evacuate out of here. Okay, she's a hero. Watch this video of the teacher from 102.
Authorities say the shooter fired shots outside the school before going in, and those bullets shot through a classroom. Well, tonight we're hearing firsthand on what those moments were like for teachers inside that room. I want to bring in my colleague right now, KENS 5's Alicia Nieves. Alicia, I was here with you when you interviewed that teacher here just a few hours ago. She gave you insight as to what happened in room 102.
That's right, and this is just another story of bravery that we're learning about, Henry. 2 teachers helped their students jump out of a window from the classroom that just moments before was shattered by bullets.
Tuesday morning, 4th grade teacher Nicole Ogburn heard loud bangs outside.
And I just stood up and looked out my window that was right there close by, and I was like, there's a guy with a gun. Oh my God, get down.
She says when she spotted the gunman, she moved quickly to make sure every child was lying on the ground.
As soon as I told my kids get down, like all of a sudden shots were starting to be fired from outside into my classroom through the window.
She was in room 102. This map from DPS shows she was 3 doors down from where the shooter took the lives of 19 students and 2 teachers.
I just heard gunfire, and I heard it, and I kept hearing it, and it would stop for a minute, and it would go back on, and then all of a sudden it stopped.
She said no one in her classroom was hurt. When law enforcement came to the shattered window, she says children started jumping out and ran to the nearby funeral home to safety.
I want the blame to stop. Like, the only person here to blame is that person that came into my school and hurt my friends and hurt the students that I saw every day and I loved.
Tony B. Nieves' daughter, Trish, is Nicole's co-teacher.
She saw the shooter go past her classroom. She actually texted her husband and told him, there's a shooter. We need help. I love you.
Trish helped the first group of students out the window. Her husband, a Border Patrol agent, on the other side.
Her knees were all scraped up trying to get out of there.
B. Nieves says it's hard for his family to eat and sleep, knowing so many people they knew didn't come out alive.
She said, my best friend died. And then later on, she told me my other best friend died. My daughter's like, I might have to give up to teaching. If they don't have the protection, I might have to find another source of income.
So Trish's husband is a Border Patrol agent. He was getting a haircut, apparently, at the time when the shooting happened. When he got word of it, the people at the barbershop gave him a weapon so he could have protection when he got on scene. He helped many of those students evacuate himself. And I also learned that Trish and Nicole, after they evacuated the students to go to the funeral home right across the street, they immediately started calling their parents to let them know those children were safe.
It's what parents wanted to know in that time. It's like that unknown. And their teachers calling their parents. It's that small, tight-knit community. Alicia, thank you so much for that reporting. And of course, those teachers doing everything that they can. And tonight,
now going frame by frame of this video showing the suspect entering the school, piecing together the details of the response as part of their investigation.
Okay, so now Ramos has entered through a unlocked door. He's now gone down this hallway, and I believe that according to this teacher in 132, that the L wing, which I would assume is this part, see how it makes a L kind of? This L wing had just dismissed for lunch, which kind of makes sense. I'll tell you why. I believe if that's the case, either this is the cafeteria or this is, I'm not quite sure how they have it, but I'm pretty close, I feel like. So he's probably walking down this hallway, and these rooms are empty. Okay. As far as I know, he didn't shoot up. He didn't shoot into any of these rooms. I don't know if they leave the doors open, if it's lunch period, or what, or how that works. But he can probably tell that there's nobody in these rooms. He goes in here, and we're gonna play. I'm gonna play a video from the student testimony that may show that he either went into here, or there may be another entrance for the auditorium. I'm not quite sure. And I knew that there was some kind of auditorium. Let me show you real quick. Go to Google Maps real fast, because I could see that this part of the building is raised up. It looks like an auditorium. Let me play that now. Go do that now. So here's where he went in. Oh, and that video of him going in was probably from a neighbor, like right over here. They had this angle right in there where they could get that video. See, look how this is raised up. That's definitely an auditorium. So this would be 132. Okay. Get my little blueprint out here. This would be 132, 131, 130, 129. Some restrooms here. 127. And this is the auditorium. So I think he's gone down this hallway. I think he has gone into this. I think he has gone into this auditorium. Okay, so it is possible that Ramos had gone into this cafeteria, or if this is cafeteria, like I said, I don't know. According to the student testimony witness, that the teacher had the students hide behind a curtain and turn off the lights. If all that's the case, it's a very smart teacher. Escape and evade if you can. So it's quite possible Ramos went into this cafeteria. He can't see any of the students. He may hear them rustling around or something like that. And the student, or here, okay, folks, maybe a stage here, I don't know. The student hears Ramos say, children come out and play. Something to that effect. Creepy little Ramos says that. And of course they don't go out. I believe they know it's not a police officer. And I'm going to play that video now of that student witness account here. Play a video now.
And new tonight, we're hearing the story of a little girl who survived this mass shooting.
The Fierro family thought they may never see their 9-year-old daughter Eliana again. Her father, Martin Fierro, explained the chilling moments of her escape.
I cried when I held them. I was able to hold them again because I knew that a lot of parents weren't gonna be able to hold their children. That they were in the cafeteria, and when they did the drill, the little kids and the teachers turned off the lights and they all hid. And they hid behind the curtains of the auditorium. And by her account, she told my wife that you heard somebody come in and say, "Come out, little children, come out, little children. It's okay." Is that what you heard? Mm-hmm. But y'all stayed still behind the curtain? Mm-hmm. They didn't come out because they weren't sure. You knew it wasn't policemen?
Yeah.
She told my wife that she knew that it wasn't the policeman. So the shooter actually went in there and was asking them to come out.
So he just walked in, he asked, and then he walked out because I think a policeman was chasing him because when the police After he left, a policeman came in and went behind the stage and saw us.
Families were fighting to get in. Wow. They were, the shooter had an hour, almost an hour, 40 minutes, and, you know, people were fighting, and there's a lot of questions right now.
Definitely a lot of questions. Now, both Martin and his wife have spent their whole lives in Uvalde. They grew up with the other parents of the victims like one big family, so they mourn those who died as if they were one of their own.
Okay, now this next part, you know, we're not going to know exactly what happened unless video's released, if they have security video. And this is according to a student that was in the classroom. We're going to play that video here in a second. So it is possible that the teacher, Irma Garcia, had gone out of, let's see here. Just 1 second. She may have gone out of 112 to go over here and to unlock room 111, which has to be, again, this is, you know, I'm not sure this is correct or not, but she has to go lock this externally, and then as she's going back to 112, Ramos sees her, grabs the door, and then makes his way into the room. And then she protects her students. She protects her students, as does she protects her students, as does Eva Morales also. And this could be that she came locked 112, went back to 111. I'm not sure, but I believe that Ramos had grabbed the door, and she had tried to close it, and just wasn't able to. Again, we don't know the details. I'm gonna play that video now.
And then, when we were watching it, we were told that we were going to go into lockdown. So my friend did the normal thing, you know, went over to turn the TV off, and then Ms. Garcia went to go lock the door from outside.
Is that kind of scary?
Well, my friend was saying that it was really normal and don't be scared because nothing's going to happen. They said that they've had intruders trying to get in before, but they never really get in. So I wasn't really that scared.
And you were sitting by your friends?
I was sitting by one friend, my friend Amory. She was really the only big friend I had.
Amory? So you met her, so you're new to the school, and that was your new BFF, huh? Yeah? What do you remember after they told you that you were out of lockdown?
I remember my friend Amory saying, "Here we go again." And she looked at me and said, "Don't freak out because it's just a little one." And then there were gunshots. We were told to go behind the table, so we went.
And you went with your friend behind the table?
Well, her friend, Olympia, she had a phone. She had her phone, yeah. And she told Amory to go over there with her, but I didn't want her to. But Amory slipped out of my hand because I was grabbing her, telling her to get over here. But she went with her, and it made me really uncomfortable because I didn't feel safe without her.
You know where she went?
She went, I was on the side of the table, and she was like a little bit in front of me, but she was against the wall, kind of.
Could you still see her?
Yeah, I could see her, but I wasn't really looking at her. I was kind of looking at the ground because I was scared, and I just thought maybe looking at the ground would help me better.
Well, scared's an okay feeling in that situation.
Well, he broke into the classroom because Ms. Garcia has to lock it from the outside. So she was locking it, and she heard the gunshots and she still tried to lock it. She couldn't find the right key. So she was trying to lock it, and then right when she found the right key, she was about to close it. He had already got in, and he grabbed the door from her hand. Then she ran over to us, sat down, and started covering my friend because I was on the side, so she couldn't, protect me that much. Then she started saying no because he said, "You'll die," and she shot my friend with the phones, and he shot my teacher, Miss Garcia, and Miss Vidales. I got up to turn my friend's phone off because I knew it would draw attention. So when I got up, he saw me because there was a blonde guy in the room next to us, and he tried to shoot me because I thought it was in front of me, but it was beside me. So I walked, and I guess when he shot the bullet, some shrapnel came out, and it hit my head while I was running.
But you kept running. That's so brave. You know how brave it is, too, that you went to try to turn the phone off? It takes a lot of courage, Chloe. Because you were trying.
Thanks so much, Matt, for that report. And tonight, we're hearing from a law enforcement officer who responded to that shooting. He was also a close friend of a teacher, a hero, Eva Mireles, who died trying to save her students' lives. I want to bring in my colleague right now, Alicia Nieves, here live with me. And Alicia, you spoke to this officer. What did he have to tell you?
Well, he serves as a spokesman, really, for the Mireles Ruiz family, Henry. And he also is, a member of local DPS. But he says that when he responded to the shooting, he knew that his friend, who he considers a sister, was inside and in danger.
If you don't know Eva Mireles, y'all missed out.
Juan Maldonado just spent the weekend in Concan with the Mireles Ruiz family.
She loved karaoke. The night was not done until she got to sing Diamonds, shining bright like a diamond. So she's a diamond right now. She's like I was telling Ruben, she's in heaven and she's that diamond.
Mireles taught in Uvalde for nearly 17 years. She had a certification for special education. Her passion was teaching students of all abilities.
She was currently a 4th grade teacher, and she's been nominated and got Teacher of the Year at one time. And this year she was also nominated Teacher of the Year, which is a great recognition for her. It speaks volumes of how much dedication she put into her job.
She loved helping her students succeed. So proud when she witnessed them graduate.
I can't say enough about Eva. She's like my sister. Her and I thought a lot alike, the same. If she was very straightforward to tell me if I'm doing something wrong, she's going to tell me.
Mireles was also big on family. Her husband, Ruben Ruiz, is a local officer. Her daughter, Adeline, has the same beautiful, beaming smile. Maldonado says this teacher's one-of-a-kind spirit will be missed by all, but never forgotten.
Her family definitely knows that she died as a hero and protecting her children. She's not only a hero to the family, but definitely she's going to be a hero to this community.
So she was big on family, and Henry, she was a big fan of her dog, Kane. He was just her favorite. And she was also big on working out.
Okay.
She would go and do a CrossFit workout almost every day after class. She'd text her daughter in between. And so she had her plans already for retirement too, and it has to do with working out. She wanted to move to Arizona to go hiking. So to honor her on Memorial Day, her family's going to do a workout in her honor.
Wow. These stories are tough. They really are. And especially for this officer who's responding to something like this.
When he knows someone inside, right?
Exactly.
Heart-wrenching.
And that's a lot of the stories that we're hearing out here. A lot of hearts are broken. Of course, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone. And that is the sentiment out here. Of course, once we learn more information, we'll of course bring it to you. But for now, we'll send it back to you, Sharon, in the studio.
Painful stories, but that of courage and resilience coming out of Uvalde. A teacher, he's been a teacher for 17 years. His sole goal was to help make these children into better, stronger, more educated kids, and he was not equipped to handle what happened in his classroom. The class was enjoying, this was the last week of school, and then suddenly they faced the worst nightmare you could imagine. I just want to warn our viewers, it is extremely difficult to hear him tell what happened in that classroom.
And I said, if I die, don't let it be in vain.
Arnulfo Reyes, the fourth grade teacher in room 111 at Robb Elementary School, telling his story for the first time as he recovers in the hospital.
It was our typical morning, and we ate breakfast together.
Reyes says May 24th started like any other day, except the students were celebrating.
It was going to be a good day because it was going to be our day of awards.
While some students went home after the ceremony, 11 from his class stayed behind. They were watching a movie when all of a sudden gunfire rang out.
The kids started asking out loud, Mr. Reyes, what is going on? And I said, I don't know what's going on, but let's go ahead and get under the table. Get under the table and act like you're asleep. As they were doing that, and I was gathering them under the table and told them to act like they were going to sleep, is about the time when I turned around and saw him standing there.
Reyes shot twice, a bullet hitting him in the arm and lung, and a separate one striking his back. The 17-year teaching veteran hitting the ground.
I told my kids to act like they're asleep, so I'm going to act like I'm asleep also.
While the horror was unfolding, parents outside begging for police to save their children.
You know that they're kids, right? They're little kids. They don't know how to defend themselves.
Did you feel abandoned in that moment by police, by the people who are supposed to protect you?
Absolutely. After everything, I get more angry because you have a bulletproof vest. I had nothing.
So the shooter killed every single student in your classroom.
Yes, ma'am. That's when I got to thinking, this family lost one. This family lost one. I lost 11 that day. I just went to my parents and said, I'm sorry. I tried my best. Please don't be angry with me.
Right, so now you have Ramos in the rooms. I don't think I need to go into detail about what happened there. Okay. Now we have 19 police officers arrive. Probably in here, probably down on this side, I imagine. But they're saying the problem is that the bullets are coming through the door, through the walls. The problem is that the steel door, and I believe that the doors open outwards is the problem. Couldn't they have got, find some redneck out there with the big 4x4 and put the truck right here, put a chain through the exterior window through this door 106 and attach it to 112 door, maybe occupy Ramos over here, hit the door, do something, get him over here, punch a hole in there, attach it to a clamp, and then have the truck pull on out and pull that door off the hinges. Or if it is open door or it opens outward into the hallway. Let's look at this video here of a door, probably a similar type door, and that seems to be the issue. I'm showing you a pic right now of a door that I believe is probably the same type of door. All right, let's take a look at that image now. You see how the hinges are. If the problem is that it's an outward open doors, as in this door from 112 or 111 opens outwards into the hallway, then you got these hinges that would be on their side in the hallway. You can get an axe and a hammer and whack those off. Maybe even take a 12 gauge to them. Something. Okay. Hey, couldn't they have had a sniper? Like right here? Couldn't they have got under these windows? Like a mirror on a stick or video surveillance camera? Or just popped up there and looked? You see Ramos standing? The kids are laying on the floor. Aim high. Or if he's over here, get under that window, see if you can see. Like, I never hear anything, I never hear that this was an option of going to the exterior windows. I don't understand that. There's 19 officers out here, all kind of agencies out here, and never does the exterior window option come up for 111 and 112. Maybe we'll find out later. Something. You know. I don't know. But the steel doors, just basically everything shut down tactic wise, apparently. This next video is about the mom that ran into the school to find her 2 boys. I want to apologize to her and the parents there on behalf of the state of Texas. This is not the way Texans should conduct themselves. If you're watching this video from other states or other countries, this is not how we were raised. We were raised to defend the weak, to show courage and bravery. And I'm going to play a video from a teacher's husband that's a Border Patrol agent, and then he rushes into the school also. Play those videos back to back.
So we are hearing this morning from a mother who ran inside the school in Uvalde, Texas to protect her kids. She says that police held her back and handcuffed her as the shooting unfolded. Lilia Luciano has the exclusive interview. Lilia, good morning.
Good morning to you, Anne Marie, and to Vlad. You know, I met with Angeli Gomez yesterday in a field nearby. She's a farm worker. She was telling me that her kids, on the morning of the shooting, had both graduation ceremonies or a ceremony at school. She showed up there, but she didn't want to take photos with them. She told me she was embarrassed because she had come straight from work. She was working early that morning, and she was dusty from the field, but her kids told her, "Mom, we want to take this photo." She says, you know, "I'm so glad I took that photo because it could have been the last one," and it was for many of the parents who lost their children who had been there. Like many parents, after that, she left, she went back to work, back to the field. And within 10 minutes, she received a frantic call from her mom telling her that there was a shooting at the school. So she got in her car and she sped at about 100 miles an hour, she told me, until she finally got here. And this is what she told me after.
Right away as I parked, U.S. Marshals started coming toward my car saying that I wasn't allowed to be parked there. And he said, "Well, we're going to have to arrest you because you're being very uncooperative." I said, "Well, you're going to have to arrest me because I'm going in there, and I'm telling you right now, I don't see none of y'all in there. Y'all are standing with snipers, and y'all are far away. If y'all don't go in there, I'm going in there." He immediately put me in cuffs.
She says after Uvalde police officers told marshals to uncuff Gomez, she ran towards the school.
As soon as they uncuffed me, I jumped that first gate fence, and once I jumped it, I went to my son's class, and I knocked on the door, and I remember the teacher saying, I'm like, "Hey, they're already bolt cutting the fence to get me." She's like, "You think we have time to get out?" I said, "Y'all have time. I'm gonna run for my other son."
Once she was assured her son was okay, Gomez ran to get her other child, encountering more officers who tried to stop her.
So I start yelling, and I'm being cooperative, and I'm like, "Well, y'all aren't doing what are y'all doing? Y'all ain't doing Y'all need to be in here. Give me your vest. Somebody give me a vest, something." I started paying attention to how far the shots were being, so that I knew the shooter was all the way still by my first son's class. So when I went to my second son's door, the teacher didn't want to open the door for me. So that's when they started escorting me out. And as I see that they're opening my son's door, I go run for my son and I get him.
With both of her kids out safe, Gomez still can't shake the thought of those who didn't make it. While you were inside the school, did you see officers
There was
inside
not
the
one
school?
officer inside the school when I ran to my second son's class. There was not one officer.
And you were hearing gunshots, so you knew
You
that
could hear the
it was
gunshots.
an active shooter.
It was still active. The gunshots were still active. They were not in there. There was no one in there. If anything, when I pulled up, my car was closer to the school than where the snipers and everybody that was laying on the ground were.
When you heard that it took law enforcement 75 minutes before they went in and stopped the shooter, what was your thinking, having been inside the school yourself?
I don't know. I was just thinking that they could have saved many more lives. They could have gone into that classroom and maybe 2 or 3 would have been gone, but they could have saved the whole class. They could have done something. Gone through the window, sniped them through the window. I mean, something, but nothing was being done. If anything, they were being more aggressive on us parents that were willing to go in there. And like I told one of the officers, I don't need you to protect me. Get away from me. I don't need your protection. If anything, I need you to go in there with me to go protect my kids. And if anything, they were being more aggressive on us. They were more pertained on keeping us back than getting into that school.
Border Patrol Agent Jacob Alvarado, it's good to see you.
Good morning.
I should mention you had shoulder surgery.
Yes,
this is not related to the events at the school, but you're doing okay.
Yes, I'm doing good.
How is the community of Uvalde doing? I mean, you were born and bred there. This is such a wound to the whole community.
They're suffering. Yeah, they're trying their best to get through, but it's hard. Everyone knows everyone there.
We were just talking about your wife. She was a 4th grade teacher there. She's going to 2 funerals today.
It's I don't know if it's necessary today. It's either today or tomorrow. But yeah, she's dealing with that right now. She couldn't make it.
There's so much loss here. Let's go back to that day. You were off duty.
Yes.
And
I was getting ready to have my surgery. I was supposed to have my surgery Tuesday. It didn't happen. Thankfully, it didn't happen. I was able to be in town.
And you just decided to get your hair cut in the morning.
Well, I was at the award ceremony. I was there earlier that morning.
At the school?
At the school.
Yeah.
So I stayed around town, had breakfast with my mom, washed my car, got my car clean, and was fixing to go get my hair cut.
And tell me about the text you received.
My barber actually heard shots, or he thought he heard shots. He was coming through the parking lot, and he asked me if I heard it. I told him, so I didn't hear anything. I went inside the barbershop, sat down, and then I can't recall if he received the text first or if I received it, that there's an active shooter. There's an active shooter. Help. I love you, for my wife.
And what did you do next?
I looked for a gun. My barber said he had a gun. Both of us raced over to the school and met up there.
From your texts, it looks like you got there at 11:48.
Yeah, like I said, times I have no idea on time. I just know I got there as fast as I could.
What did you see and hear when you arrived?
Just chaos. Chaos. Everyone was trying to get to the school. People were trying to get everything situated. I was just trying to get towards my wife's room and my daughter's room.
Were there already police there?
There were some there already, yes.
And what happened? Did you just run in and start evacuating kids, or how did that unfold?
I was actually going over there, and then I went back to my barber's truck. He got me his shotgun. He gave me some shells. I put whatever shells I had in my pocket, and then I took off running towards the school.
Did you ask the police that were there, hey, can I go in? Did you check in with them? I mean, how did that happen?
It's a small community.
Yeah.
My wife works at Rob. Everyone at Rob knows me. Pretty much all local law enforcement knows me, or I know the majority of them. So I was able to go in, and I announced who I was and made my way through.
And what happened next?
As I was going in, I could just see kids coming out of the windows and kids coming my way. So I was just helping all the kids out. I was trying to contact my wife, see where my wife was at. I can't recall if I was calling her or texting her, but then I met up with one of the officers there, trying to see what was going on. I tried to make my way towards the door. I wasn't, like I said, I didn't have any of my gear. I was off duty. So I didn't go in. I met with another officer there, Ruben, which I went to school with, and his wife is one of the one that got shot by the shooter.
Mrs. Morales.
Yes, correct.
He was there looking for his wife as well.
Yes.
And you were there helping kids get out, but you were looking for your second grader as well.
Yes. My wife finally texted me or called me, told me she was across the street at the funeral home. After that, my next thing was to go get my daughter.
Your wife had made it out safely,
She made it
but
out.
your daughter
Yeah,
was
she
still there.
Exactly. I didn't know where the shooter was at. I knew he had shot in the building. I didn't know if he was still there or not.
Did you hear any gunshots while you were in that vicinity?
At that time, no.
And how were the kids getting out? You know, I mean, I think people are trying to understand how this unfolded. It's chaos that is easy to understand. But where were the police? Where was the classroom?
The police were breaking out the windows on the outside, and the kids were jumping out through the window. They were jumping out through the window, in the parking lot, down the pavement, headed towards the funeral home.
Did you ever see those officers that were poised outside the door? You know, obviously there's a lot of scrutiny now of those actions and whether they should have gotten in. Did you ever have any occasion to interact with them at all?
At one point I was there at the door fixing to go in, but once again, I didn't have any of my gear. It wouldn't have been a smart move for me. All those guys had their gear and stuff. So, like I said, I pulled back. My wife had texted me, called me that she was okay at the funeral home. All the kids were already out of that building, so I went on to find my daughter in her wing.
What was that moment like when you saw your daughter?
When I saw my daughter, it was a big relief. Yeah.
And after she got to safety, you continued to help.
Oh yeah, I cleared out the rooms there. Saw all her friends. I coach Little League Baseball as well. I'm not an official coach, but I'm always there helping out. All her friends, I could just see their faces. Half of them fine, the other ones panicking and crying, trying to make sure they weren't following and just delaying the process. I was trying to just keep them as calm as I could as they were evacuating.
It's so shocking. Obviously, there's a lot of scrutiny now about the police response. What's your take on all of that?
To me, I believe everyone there was doing the best that they could, given the circumstances. Yeah, I believe everyone there was doing everything in their power.
And how, I mean, these last few days, I asked you, had you gotten any rest this weekend?
No, I haven't gotten any rest at all.
Yeah. Because you're still haunted by what you saw?
Not necessarily what I saw. I mean, my wife is extremely affected by it.
Yeah.
No.
It's a tragic situation. And I know you were so glad to be able to be there. Thank you for your time this morning, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Agent Alvarado, appreciate it.
Alrighty. Now, I know what I'm about to talk about is not going to bring back those 19 kids or the 2 teachers or change anything, but I do want to talk about the conduct here at this press conference. This gentleman's doing his best to get information out, and for the life of me, I can't understand. This is Escalon back here. I don't know who he is, this other gentleman. I can't figure out what the heck could be so important that they want to have a little powwow back here. Don't they know this is nationwide? We've already embarrassed ourselves. We're going to continue embarrassing ourselves. When you put on this cowboy hat, you have certain code you got to live by. You respect that officer there. I can't think of anything that could be so important for them to be back here talking about something while this gentleman's trying to get this information out. There's parents there. These kids have just been, you know what they happened. I can't understand it. Look at this.
Plus, also have plenty of time for questions at that point.
They talking about going down to Whataburger and getting number 2 with the sweet tea, large fries. Is that what you're talking about? What could they be talking about?
11:27.
What's so important back there, guys?
We know from
This gentleman's trying to give a press conference here. I can go on and on through the video. This ain't the only time they do it. Escalon. What are you talking about back there, man? This guy right here. This gentleman right here. He's an FBI agent. That's professional. Okay? Never see him talk about nothing until they call on him. And he's very articulate. You'll see him through this whole video looking around, looking like he's probably thinking, what the heck's going on? He looks at him several times. Several times you'll see him look at him.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I understand that gentleman. He's probably got something legitimate to tell him. I'm going to show you one more thing. These Texas Rangers are professionals, okay? The guys in the white cowboy hats and suits. You don't see them having a little powwow, talking about whatever they're talking about. Those gentlemen that's legitimate. And it's the FBI agent. You know, they're going to have a press conference, national news. Why don't you take a little powwow or whatever you got to talk about somewhere off the screen, guys. Come on, let's get this together. And we're embarrassed in the state of Texas. Multiple levels. That's all I want to say about it. Cut it off.
No one has been fired. No one has resigned, including Pete Arredondo, the chief of the Uvalde School District Police, who was reportedly in command inside the school when, according to the Uvalde Leader news editorial, quote, 19 officers from the Uvalde PD, School District, Department of Public Safety, and Border Patrol waited, apparently frozen by orders or fear, in the hallway. Frozen by orders or fear. While Chief Arredondo and those 19 officers were frozen for an hour, Federico Torres's 10-year-old son, Rogelio, bled to death on the floor of his classroom. On Saturday, Federico Torres said this about Chief Arredondo.
If I were him, I would quit my job. Even if he doesn't quit, he's supposed to be fired. Get out of there. He didn't do nothing for us. He failed us. He failed our kids. He failed the future from this community. What is he going to do now? How is he going to wake tomorrow?
He is apparently having no trouble waking up tomorrow. His professional life only seems to have actually improved since he failed utterly in Uvalde's darkest hour. Chief Arredondo was sworn in last week as the newest member of Uvalde's City Council. It was done in secret, which might have been a violation of law in and of itself, doing that in secret. And when a CNN reporter caught up with him at the end of the week last week, he didn't look or sound like someone who was troubled in any way at all. He stood there for a moment before hustling away, refused to answer any questions, because Chief Arredondo, along with every other Texas government official,